Yay, we're live. Yes, almost. 05. Hey, okay. Checking connection. Sorry, guys, we're trying to get live. There we go. Ooh, we're live everywhere. We are like all over the place on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. So, obviously, you can join us in any way or always go back and watch it later. But today we want to talk a little bit about, well, we're going to talk about everything, and feel free to go ahead and throw your questions at us anytime.
Yeah, we'll be better at answering this week, won't we? Because we're not too far from
last time we were too far from the camera, so we couldn't even see the comments. So today we've got it set up a little bit better. But we are going to discuss gut health as well as depression and anxiety, and give some, alternative options to people that suffer from these issues, because it's one of the highest ones that's now prescribed drugs, right?
Yeah.
So basically, a lot of people have depression or anxiety and they're embarrassed, they don't want to share it, or some of them never even seek treatment because they're just, too embarrassed to even talk about it. So how does it relate to gut health?
Yeah, so on a physiology aspect, serotonin is our consistent happy hormone. Everyone thinks of dopamine. Dopamine's our high, sort of thing you get from a runner's high, or, something you're really happy about. That's dopamine. Serotonin is our consistent happy, I'm sure all of us would agree we'd rather be somewhat consistently happy than having highs and lows. And basically serotonin, 80 to 90% of it is produced in the gut. And if you've got a terrible gut, aka a leaky gut, increased gut permeability, even just decreased stomach acid production due to being stressed out, you're going to have a poor environment for this essential hormone for mental health to be producing it productively, correctly.
And I think a lot of times when you're feeling down or you feel anxious, a lot of people go to food for the answer, because it's comfort. It's like, you just want to eat your favorite snacks and all that fun stuff, but it creates kind of like this circle of feeling bad about yourself, feeling anxious, feeling all those things. So I also feel like a big part of it is having healthy fats for your brain, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, hippocampus is a massive part of all mental health, all mental disorders, from bipolar specifically. Hippocampus is like a seahorse-shaped part of the brain that shrinks when you are overtoxic, nutrient deficient, and actually don't exercise. They're the three things that make your hippocampus grow, and sadly, hippocampus size is everything when it comes to health.
Size is everything.
Yeah. So sorry, you've got the hippocampus is a little part of the brain that needs that nutrients. It needs the fat. It needs exercise. And if it's, this was crazy, because if you've got bipolar or been diagnosed with bipolar, I know for a fact, you go to your doctor, they run a few tests, they ask a few questions, they send you to a psychiatrist, and that's it. They don't have a definitive test for bipolar. Yeah, I can tell you now that if you go for an MRI, not that we ever recommend anything like PET scans or MRIs, because they've got their own issues, like something like 1,000 X-rays in one MRI.
Hey, DJ!
You actually can have the size of your hippocampus analyzed, and then they can tell you that it's shrunken, and that's one of the key aspects. Like I said,
but a lot of times, lots of things. When you go to the doctor or whatnot, it's trial and error. That's why they call it practice. So, they're going to shoot medicines at you that they're not sure if they're even treating something. And the hard part is that then that medicine can create a worse side effect that now you have to take medicine, so especially with me having epilepsy, you don't know how many medications I've been put on just to see if it worked, and it had crazy side effects. So I'm just so much more happy doing it all natural.
Well, that's what's so crazy about it, because you go to doctors, let's just say you go through that, which most people go through, where they try so many different drugs and everything, then they eventually find something that works. Okay, so it works, but then what happens over a period of time? You get a tolerance to it, so they have to change the whole thing.
So you got to change everything, or you got to up it, or you got to add another medication, because this one now you're taking so much, it's making your stomach sick, and all those fun things. So it's just I
mean, something like bipolar is it was non-existent before 1940, and now it's skyrocketing. I think it's like the average number is 1 in 5. And the reason is that the root cause of bipolar is actually the medications, the depression medications. It's a side effect of being on depression medications too long. And think about SSRI, serotonin reuptake inhibitors. You know, what is it trying to do? It's trying to do what we spoke about at the beginning. That
it's okay, you can't hear us. You could just look at us.
Serotonin. You know, you're putting some sort of synthesized chemical in your body to boost
I have to say hi to everybody.
Serotonin. When obviously, you know, your body makes more than enough. You just need to. That's what I love about functional medicine. If you look up the definition of functional medicine, it's getting to the root cause of the problem and resolving that, not covering it up with a chemical. It's like saying, you know, the engine light's on in my vehicle. Obviously, I have some form of engine issue.
But let's start by pumping up the tires and then do this
or even
and do
just
that,
as crazy as what a drug does, it just alters that. It takes the light out. It takes the bulb out. You know, it hasn't solved the underlying issue. It's just covered up the symptom.
Yeah, that's true. So we're really big about finding the root cause. And I know that so many people will think, yeah, right, like how could possibly diet and supplements and etc. solve all these issues? But it really does work. As a matter of fact, you know, of course, a lot of you know that being epileptic, that I use my fabulous CBD oil. Yes, I love it. But I did notice that my anxiety level does drop with it. And obviously having a background in how the body works, of course, I realized that the way that it works is these are the kind of fats you need. These are the kind of things that you need for your brain. So think about it as the ultimate superfood for your brain. Okay, so your brain is finally getting what it needs to thrive. And you will literally see just a huge change. There's all sort of options. You know, there's so many more. Like one of the things that we do is create a diet plan that, you know, works for you. So it runs with, you know, natural courses, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, you talk to anyone and they'll say not every diet's suited for everyone. That's so true, which is why program is the modified ketogenic intermittent fasting. We can modify it to the person specifically, dependent on the calories. Like for instance, me and Destiny are on the exact same diet. I do intermittent fasting because I'm just consistently at 185 pounds. I'm good. And
obviously I don't need to lose any weight. Yeah, we all know that. So
you know, and Destiny needs breakfast, don't you? That's the thing.
I need breakfast.
You don't like, I don't want breakfast, but Destiny needs it. So
I gotta solve a myth right here. Do I eat? I eat. I can eat. Okay. So I'm not just thin, you know, I'm something called ectomorphic, okay? So that means I'm thin by nature.
Naturally skinny bitch.
I am a naturally skinny bitch, okay? So don't tell me I need to eat a cheeseburger because I eat plenty of them. But anyways, so, but yeah, so that's the huge thing, you know, being in the nutrition industry now is really, you know, breaking down your lifestyle and making a plan that fits the macronutrients that we need for you to have. And that will change your gut. How long does it take to change like a gut?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. About 30, 40 days to heal and seal the gut. And there's so many protocols we can do to help someone out. Like for instance, aloe vera, slippery elm, bone broth. All these are naturally healing, soothing, coating, natural substances, which will help heal and seal that gut. You know, and that's
and even I even brought this because I wanted to show people. Of course, I'm all into the all natural that I can't even open the box. Jeez Louise. But I've got my little cute. Isn't that cute? It says shine bright. Shine bright. But you know, we have all these great different like sort of oils. But something that I really want to talk to people about is something called a morphine bomb. So I know that sounds crazy, but believe it or not, science says that when you put these two oils together, they actually chemically compound to the same thing as quote unquote morphine. Of course, it's not going to be, you know, as strong, but it is a natural way to take something, and it's, of course, like I said, all natural. It will help you sleep. So don't do it, obviously, if, you know,
in the day. If
you don't want to do that.
You're working as a person.
Training people at, But anyway, so the way that you would do it is you get these super fun little capsules, if you notice, like little veggie capsules, and put inside of it frankincense. So frankincense is your cell activator, okay? So what works with it is marjoram. So you put the two together. Marjoram is a natural muscle relaxer. So especially if you have arthritis or any sort of constant chronic pain, it's going to help you tremendously, okay? So you put drops about equal, maybe starting off with 4, into the little veggie capsule, swallow it, and it absorbs faster than any other capsule because it is just a very, it's just made out of a very thin layer of veggies. So anyways, that's another optional alternative that I want to give people. And if you need more info on that, just, message us, go to destinyowen.com or kieran4.com, and we have so many different things that will work for you.
I want to talk on anxiety a little bit more on the other aspect of what someone could have as a cause. So say you're living healthy and you're happy and everything's great, you definitely haven't got a leaky gut, but you're still suffering from anxiety or panic attacks. Actually, think of it like this. I use this common because everyone uses it. Everyone likes the smell of fresh baked bread. It generally brings a happy thought in, especially if you're our age or older. Your grand might have made
smell of mom's or grandma's house when she, used to make the fresh bread. It's like a comfort.
So it's a good thing. It's a good memory attached to it. And then one day you're struck by a bread truck, and as you lie there on the ground with a broken leg, in loads of pain, smelling that bread, what's going to happen the next time that you
I wouldn't like bread so much anymore.
Well, that's what happened. It's a defense mechanism by us. If you walk past a dark alley late at night in East LA, you're going to have that anxiety, that that sense of something could not be safe. And that's very a bit like when we're a caveman and we might get attacked by a tiger. As soon as you go past that same spot, the woods or whatever, you're going to have that kind of reaction. And basically what you're doing is you're living in the past or in the future. You're not living in the present. And it takes some work.
Yeah, it takes work, but even working with pelvic floor breath, keeping in mind that you're the one that controls your breathing. So air doesn't just naturally move in and out of your body. It's you are pulling open the diaphragm, things like that, but it can bring a ton more oxygen to your organs and to your muscles, so you don't get something called muscle amnesia, which literally means that parts of your body are forgetting how to work because they're not getting, it's crazy. I think you learned something new. I'm always learning from him, so it feels good to know that. But yes, so different parts or areas of the body stop reacting the way that they're supposed to, and this leads a lot of times to hip problems, lower back problems, feet disorders, plantar fasciitis, etc. And then also if you have feet problems, the very next thing that happens, the body, of course, is going to balance out and you get jaw problems. So you start to have problems with your teeth. So it's really important that you, take the opportunity to make sure that you're breathing right. And again, you can also go on and check out all the other videos that we have about how to breathe. Just put a little time in there and give yourself that. Yeah. Oh, I was going to ask you. Oh, are you going to?
No.
So how many people have a leaky gut? This is something that was really, really, really new to me. So I really just think it's fascinating.
Yeah, so if you do the amount of research I do and you follow the x-rays that can identify a leaky gut, you can see all the different severities. So sometimes you'll have a really good doctor and they'll x-ray the gut every 2 weeks whilst they're doing the journey of healing. And you'll see the different variants. So basically everybody pretty much has got or had a leaky gut of some form of
exactly what is
it's basically the gut.
I know you talked a little bit about it, but what is it?
Well, basically nutrients are digested, broken down by the body, and then they pass through the lining, the stomach wall into the bloodstream. But they've got to be at microscopic, tiny little levels. Otherwise, it's what is one of the root causes of autoimmune diseases, because you should not have anything entering the blood that's not been properly digested and broken down, because it flags it as a foreign protein. And that's why you get food allergies, why you might find you're just slightly gluten intolerant. Then
that's actually, really that makes sense because, notice if you guys, obviously if you're men, you don't know this, but women, a lot of times, like after we have our babies, we then have an allergy to something. Reason being is our little parasites growing in us have taken that from us, right? And so then you've been so nutrient deficient from it for so long, you can't handle it anymore. So we like to work with allergies to slowly bring those things back so that you can start intaking, things that you absolutely really do need in your life.
Yeah, totally. So if you're allergic to any form of food, root cause, leaky gut, depending on how long, will depend on how many foods are increasing on your list that you can't no longer tolerate. Why would a gut have an issue? Like I said, you've got undigested proteins getting into the blood. The Th2 immune system is flagging broccoli, chicken, beef, whatever it might be, as a foreign protein. Well, yes, it's in a position it should not be. It's in a place it should not be, and the body's freaking out and flagging it as a foreign invader. And that's why it's going to have this overstimulant histamine response every time.
Push it out.
Every time you enter it, which is why peanut allergy is so increased, because the pharmaceutical world is suspending drugs and vaccines in peanut oil. And because we're prescribing medications and vaccinating to such a high level now, this peanut oil is being flagged up with the aluminum, the mercury,
the English way to say this. Aluminum,
the mercury, the formaldehyde, all the other ingredients that the body knows is toxic, but now peanuts are getting.
Well, yeah, and also a lot of my clients will ask me, like, what's the big deal about this whole peanut butter and almond butter? Like, they're the same pretty much, right? Well, actually, peanuts are a mold. Yeah, I know it sucks for all you peanut butter lovers, but almonds are 10 times better for you. That's why peanuts are under the ground.
And cashew nuts is another bean. And actually, the shell's actually toxic to our health, which again is nature's way of indicating to you. So we always recommend almond butter. And if you do any studies in Vietnamese, they all the kids were dying from liver cancer, and it was down to too much consumption of processed peanut butter, believe it or not. And the studies are out there.
Oh, yes. And since, most of our food nowadays is so nutrient deficient, you've got to make sure that you're getting what you need. But what's crazy to me is the amount of people that suffer from a leaky gut. And I just want to talk a little bit about the symptoms, okay? So the symptoms can be anywhere from just feeling like really lethargic throughout your day, depression, anxiety,
physical bloating,
like symptoms, right? So we've had a lot of people even come and not even know that they had one, realize that they did when they start feeling better. But I think the last study I looked at was like 80% of Americans have a leaky gut.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a realistic number. I mean, I've had it as high as 95, but that would be more from the side of, like I've had a leaky gut probably several times, but it'll be on a minimal scale, a bit like we're all gluten intolerant. None of us can eat this modern hybridized gluten and not have a negative reaction. The negative reaction might be we can't digest it and it comes out in our poop-less forms. To someone who has some breadcrumbs on the side of a chopping board and they scoop it off, and then someone with a celiac comes along and prepares in the same surface area, and then they're in bed for a day. That's how extreme it can be. So
we actually have this cleanse, and I'm not gonna tell you what it is because you gotta ask me, but Joe had me do it, and even me being healthy, I pooped out, I'm gonna tell you the truth, I pooped out some weird stuff, like first time in our relationship ever. I'm like, Joe, get over here. What the hell is that?
I don't know how many years we should be together before that happens, but we're talking months, and I've got my head down the floor.
I was just fascinated by my poop. But anyways, there's literally like stuff way deep and down the booty that like needs to be recycled and come out. He always says nobody's going to do this, hopefully, but take a piece of poop, fecal matter, put it on your arm and see what happens in 5 minutes. You know, it's gonna get irritated. So that's what your body's doing.
Some people say, you know, I actually like the fact I don't poo for 3 days or only once every 2 days, and it's like crazy because the inner lining of the stomach is more sensitive. Oh, sorry, the colon, is more sensitive than our skin, and yet what she's basically saying is quoting from a doctor who got a guy to understand the importance of going on a regular basis by literally showing him the reaction and the soreness it created to the skin, and he's explaining that and actually having slow bowel movements and all that is actually the root cause of why an appendix eventually gives up, because you've got an appendix trying to do a job.
Yeah, so that was why I really did it, is because my appendix was taken out and it wasn't supposed to be incorrectly. And so, because you guys want to know, I couldn't poop. Like, I wasn't pooping every day. But then I take more about my poop. Okay, so then I just started taking probiotics and did his little magic cleanse. And guess what, everybody? I shit every day now.
You touched on a great subject there, because this is why you need a coach, because a lot of people think, well, if I've got an overgrowth of Candida, I'm just going to do a load of probiotics.
Well, actually don't. Oh, that's such a huge thing, babe. Let's talk about Candida.
The process.
Oh man. Well, I just think that so many people don't even know.
So you don't even need to run tests. Like I knew when we first moved into not this house, our previous house, I knew instantly. You could smell it in the air.
It had mold.
It had mold issue. And mold issues are number one. It's actually in the Bible from over 2,500 years ago, where a priest would come in the house. They would ask you to dismantle the house brick by brick if the mold was there. This is seriously detrimental to our health. It's actually a form of what's the word? Like the people who used to walk around in the old days with the cloths over them and things would fall off, bits would fall off.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Oh, what is it called? I can't think of it.
That must be an English thing.
No, it's. But anyway, it's in the Bible. Trust me.
Yeah, it's.
And somewhere I have got the thing. But yeah, so first of all, we had an environment we needed to solve, and obviously, how do you solve it when it's our house? So that was difficult. Eventually, we moved out, but initially, it was the house.
Yeah.
So we indicated a mold infestation. Then we knew you were on medication, multiple medications for your epilepsy. That's again going to decrease your gut bacteria flora. It's going to create a leaky gut. It's going to reduce stomach acid. So you're going to have the perfect environment for parasite overgrowth. Right. And then on top of that, I put you on a massive diet. You're on the same bodybuilding diet as me, and I couldn't get a pound on you. So someone was eating your food that you were.
Yeah, and I hadn't even realized that, like, the whole time we had lived there, we were always getting sick, and I just had a baby. So I figured, it's just because, he goes to the sitter and he goes, all over. And when you have kids, you guys all know somebody's always sick, it feels like. But I didn't put the two together. So that's why we want to help, because there could be very, very small things even in your life that are creating devastating effects that you're not even aware about, or aware of. Another part of the whole leaky gut thing is chiropractic adjustments can help the process along. I see on Facebook and different areas, people saying that they're sick and, they can't get diagnosed and they don't know what the issue is. And that's what we're here for, because there are some things that unfortunately the doctors don't test for. You can do a live blood analysis. You can go to the chiropractor and have an x-ray done to see if you have a leaky gut. And I'm telling you, if you feel like you're stressed out all the time, and feeling highs and lows, I can almost guarantee you that you have it.
I say, think about the logic of the body, the biological law, which is what I like working with, because you can't argue it. If it's biological law, it's like as set in stone as gravity when you are educated, and if you're in a stressed state, think about a big meal. You couldn't sit down to a table in a very stressed state, like you've just been told horrendous news, or
right, because you're not hungry.
Yeah, your gut's just totally shut down, all production. We're not digesting. We're going to take all the blood from the central organs, and we're going to put it to our stomach.
And you don't want to eat right after, right?
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's a conversation we had. I remember we were driving down Haven when we said that, and I explained the sort of, you were in a,
you're in a sympathetic state.
No, you're in a sympathetic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was in a sympathetic.
And then after that, that's when you get the relaxed, the runner's high later on, when you move from a good stress. sympathetic,
right.
you know, which in this case is good because obviously working out is a good stress on the body.
Yeah.
And then you move into a parasympathetic dominant state, so you start feeling hungry. But yeah, guys, please feel free to send us any questions. Otherwise, me and Destiny will continue just to rabbit on. But
no, I love
questions.
to talk. I'll talk all day.
But yeah,
no,
I mean,
but one of the things, babe, I want to tell you. So obviously, minerals. I know it's so funny because I just went and got my hair did, and everybody's like, "It's the mineral girl," you know. But it's because people love it so dang much, and it's so easy. But especially like I had just said, our foods aren't made the same. I think we all know this, whether you eat organic or not. 20 years ago, when you bit into a steak or you bit into an apple, you were getting probably 3 times more the nutrients than you're getting today because of the way that we grow our food. We don't put anything back before we grow it again. We just keep taking away. And you need minerals to absorb any supplement, to absorb any vitamin. So anything that you're taking, even if it's a prescription, may not necessarily even ever make it through you. So minerals. Yeah,
that's actually a great thing just to put out there, actually, because we actually found this with our clients, and they actually have started getting the negative side effects to their medication that they never had before our programs, and they actually called me up and asked why. And it was not an oversight of mine; it was just something you don't expect because you're helping someone restore their health, and you want them to cycle off their medication with the help of their MD doctor. But what actually happens is as we start to heal and seal the gut, and as we start to give you the minerals, vitamins, nutrients you need, you start increasing your health, you're actually going to absorb the medication you're on. This is why, you know, you start off on 1, 2, 3, 6, 12, you know, 10 years later, you're on 12 different meds because you're not getting the absorption of the effect of these medications. Not that we agree with any medications, but you know, that's just a note. If you're on a life-changing health journey and you're trying to transition,
you got to check, make sure you're taking the vitamins that you need, the fatty acids that you need. And I know a lot of people don't take the time out to learn about probiotics versus, you know, all these things like, should I be on one? Should I not? Can you explain the difference in that?
Yeah. So,
oh, wait, real quick though. So this is our mineral drink, and it's literally that easy. Just take this little cup, fill it up, which I'm going to do while you talk, and you drink it in the morning. That's all.
So that's the 4-ounce cup. So that's good for if you're around 100 pounds like Destiny. She's only 127.
I'm 130.
Oh my God, I didn't realize.
I gained 3 pounds.
And for me, my weight, I need at least 2 of these. So yeah.
I've noticed like usually I'll have men start with 6 ounces, and I have the girls usually start off with 4. Just to kind of like wean yourself off.
And it depends because people are so mineral deficient, they can actually have a negative reaction. Like you get someone who's magnesium deficient, you put it on their skin, it burns. Same with iodine, you know, and these are natural minerals we need for health. What was the topic you wanted me to talk about before you did your drink? I forgot.
I couldn't say. Come on.
Oh, what was it? I had it all planned out, but then you blew me with the minerals.
I'm sorry about that. Anyways, so it's because I was speaking about gut health, going to the chiropractor, and how that can help.
Well, the chiropractor, I mean, that wasn't. Yeah, that's it. Pro and pre. Please remind me on that again.
I did it.
Mine's going 100 miles an hour.
Okay, probiotics, prebiotics.
Just with the chiropractor, people think, well, that's a neck and back doctor. No, think about the nerves that come out of the spine, the neck, and then go to the organs. Because it's imagine if I did a tourniquet around my arm here, tightened it up, it would be less circulation, maybe a little bit pins and needle. It wouldn't be enough to kill my arm, but it wouldn't be advisable then for me to go and do a big workout because the arm's gonna pump up. It's gonna need more blood circulation, and what we call is I'm compromising the nerve and blood supply to the arm, and that's what's kind of happening in a sedentary lifestyle. Accidents happen, C-section birth, it can be as far back. If you have the compromised nerves, the nerves that come out of the back into them organs, and they're compromised, so you can have a less function of that organ. And we spoke about gut health. The most important nerve in the whole body for gut is the vagus nerve. It runs from the back of the head all the way down to the gut, and 90% of the information in the vagus nerve goes up,
Candida.
not down. So you've got actually the gut communicating to the brain. It's that important. So,
well, like for instance, here, turn around, show your
all the way.
Turn around. Ooh, look at that booty. Stop. You have something called the T-spine, and it goes woo, all the way up. Okay, you can sit down. I just had to do that. But what the T-spine is it basically has every single nerve that your body fires off is in there. So think about that. If your back is hurting or, that's not getting oxygen, that's a huge issue. So it means it's slowing down everything. So especially too when we deal with, autistic children and et cetera, getting that signal to the brain faster, fixing posture and things of that nature are just super important.
Well, that's it. I mean, nerves that come out of 3, 4, 5, and this is a board question for doctors, actually, as any doctors watching will know this, 3, 4, 5 keeps you alive. And that is the nerves that supply the diaphragm. And then you've got anyone who comes to me with AFib. First thing I know, I guarantee they've got a curvature of the spine in the middle of the thoracic, Yes. And that's going to alter the nerves and the regular heartbeat of the heart. Yeah. So many things like that. Oh, going on to probiotics and prebiotics. So probiotics is basically adding a species of bacteria in, and pre is adding what current species you have, increasing the volume. Basically, that's the most minimal detail.
All of us have something called normal flora. Okay. And this is all the great stuff the only kind of stuff I held on to from nursing school. But so we have little things in us that break stuff down. So we have bacteria that's normal to our body. We need it. We need that bacteria to break things down.
90% bacteria.
We're 90% bacteria. That's why I call him, what do I call you again? Ratio Joe, because he always knows all the exact numbers.
Actually, for a different reason, but it's not for TV.
Oh yeah, and then that's you better share that. But now I forgot what I was going to
say. Gut bacteria flora.
No. So basically, when you're adding that,
Well, the thing is, adding is great, but you can't add when you've got an overgrowth of bad because there's no real estate. It's kind of like saying, well, we've met our capacity, of 400 in the building. No one else can come in. So you've got to get people out so you can get the good in. So we have to kill off the bad. Hence the protocol we did with yourself. I mean, I did it with you just for a laugh because there's always benefits from it.
Thought it was hilarious. We're going for a run, and I had to turn around because I had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, no, actually, what about time I had to run and get the car and drive you back into the emergency?
Yeah, well, whatever. So, anyways, I've had some poop problems. Okay, let's get over it. Move on.
When you have an appendix, you're always going to have a digestive issue, and they won't tell you this when they take your appendix out, but you have a 60% increase in colon cancer. So you won't, because obviously we're on protocols.
Well, because you're on me all the time.
But everyone else sadly will. So unless you come and visit us, and we'll teach you how to keep that happy and healthy.
And since you were talking a little bit about bending your arm and having pain and blah, blah, blah. That's what I love about being an exercise therapist is you have to know what part of the structure to stretch and what part of the structure to strengthen, okay? So that is really important. So if you have an injury anywhere in your body that just keeps coming back, we can help you. I've, fixed people's bursitis, all kinds of different issues, hip, back problems. And the key really is, and even every physical therapist that I work with will tell you the same, you want to stretch the antagonistic muscle and then you want to strengthen it, but you don't want to, you want to kind of let that part heal, but you want to get into it basically until you start feeling it react and then kind of let it go. So obviously, I have all sorts of programs that will help you there. But what I'm trying to say is that you should never feel in pain. So if you feel in pain and this thing keeps coming back, obviously you're not aware of what your antagonistic muscle is and supporting muscle and et cetera. So, it's reach out and we'll help you.
Yeah, that's what I love about us teaming up, because I was so amazed about the results you were having with your clients before you met me. And even when sometimes I'd take my own time and start creating a physiology program for your client, you've already corrected the problem in that time, which is crazy. And for me, I don't see how it could be possible just from an anatomy aspect, but you do it. And that's why,
I'm really, doing this for now a decade, and then having the background, I was a pharmacy technician for Kaiser for a long time. And then before that, I was in nursing school. I worked at a senior place for a while. And so I have a lot of background in the health industry. So when someone comes to me, I always tell them, okay, if you come see me, you know, an hour a day, that's 3% of your day or whatever it comes out to. I'm a lot better at anatomy than math. That's for damn sure. But there's 23 other hours to be accounted for here. So I'm really forced to kind of figure out what the heck can I do for this 1 hour that's going to change this person's life. And I've gotten pretty good at it. Just really, you know, combining it all together to make sure that when they leave me, they're going to feel better. And same thing. So when I met Joe and I applied, Joe being a biological specialist in functional medicine, I started to incorporate because I had done some of what he told me and I started feeling so great. I started telling my clients started getting the results that, I mean, literally at the best result. My clients, I can't even take any clients right now because I'm just that busy because people are feeling so wonderful. And it blows my mind. It really does. After getting on the program, I don't take a nap anymore. I used to sleep, remember? I used to come home every day because I work a split shift, train in the morning and train when people get off work. I would take 2-hour nap every single day. Now I'm just go.
Yeah, sleep's super important, but not when you're sleeping extra because because you're sick, you know, you're not getting, your body needs it. And, you know, how much better to have only 6 to 8 hours of sleep and feel great rather than trying to get 10 in, because, you know, you're not living when you're sleeping as much as it is important. That's what I was missing the afternoon as well.
And sleep is so important. It's really a trigger for me, of course, having epilepsy. If I don't get sleep, it's a matter of life and death for me, literally. So we do have sleep programs even to teach you how to sleep, to get your body on a normal level. Of course, everything being all natural, like always. But that was an important aspect for me. And that's why I really wanted to make sure that, you know, we talk about that a little bit because, also, you know, if you're waking up a lot in the middle of the night, it's a really big indicator that you've got something going on in your body that needs to come out, especially, 2, 3 in the morning is when your kidneys and liver are functioning the most. So if you notice that you're waking up every single day or, you know, morning, 2 to 3 in the morning, having to go to the restroom or whatnot, big indicator that something's wrong with your liver.
Yeah, totally. You know, even down to like something as simple as too much light in the bedroom, stimulus breaking you from your REM sleep, because REM sleep, rapid eye movement, 90-minute cycles, is still innate and built into us now because we've been around possibly anywhere from 60 to 100,000 years. And obviously, you've only lived in houses and security and cops for the last few hundred years. And obviously, our bodies used to. We have you know, you see it with dogs at time. Their eye might flicker and slightly open their eyelid.
When they do that little like.
Yeah. Well, you know, they're in REM, but also the eyelid aspect is literally.
Dogs do that with dogs. So
the eye is searching for stimulus if it catches stimulus because it's a natural defense in case a wolf or something.
Tell you danger's coming. So that's why we yawn. Did you guys know that? Oh my gosh, I solved the whole yawning. Why do you yawn? Because if danger's coming, somebody's got to be awake. No, really, I did. I learned this. It makes sense. That's why it's contagious. So if, you know, it's something that as a species, literally we go, because it makes the next person do it. But they say, who's they, right? Everybody, that it was a way of getting the next person to wake up. And so that way someone's always watching out for the danger, you know? But all species actually have a different form of doing that. It's crazy. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, I'm full of.
I mean, we've just gone back to, you know, quite a few hundred, if not thousands of years. And obviously going back to depression has been around since man has been around, you know, because you think, right, you could be a husband who goes off leaving his wife and kids behind. He's going off to look for some meat. And the wife turns around and puts the baby down and a wolf grabs the baby. You know, obviously mum and dad are going to be in a depressed state. You know, sadly, depression brought on from an emotional trauma like that you know,
grieving.
Yeah, we help
the
people.
Worst feeling in the entire world. I know that firsthand.
We've all had traumas, you know, and
yeah.
But the thing is, that's the thing. You go to the doctors and say, my parents have died and I'm in a terrible depressed state. They see it as a lifetime disorder and medicate you for life. And like we said in the earlier talk, depression medication will lead to bipolar, almost guaranteed. It's crazy. It's the side effect.
This is actually a really good story because my son, he was 18. Now he's about to be 19, so it wasn't that long ago. But he came home one day and literally fell in the front lawn. It was the scariest thing that has ever, like, it was so scary to me. And he was having like this crazy chest pain, and we rushed him to the hospital, and we're there forever. And what do? They prescribe him Xanax. And I'm like, no. So what we did is we brought him home and we treated him all naturally. We sent him to our chiropractor, which is, we actually interview chiropractors all over the place to make sure that you're going to one that's really, really, in line with what we do. We even have a questionnaire to ask your chiropractor.
List of 5 questions.
Yeah. But that went away. It was gone. And it was something that had started, I guess, about 6 months before, which I wish he would have told me, progressively got worse. And we were able to treat it all naturally. And I wasn't going to let my son take Xanax. There's way too much addiction going on.
I had Luke, obviously Destiny's youngest, and I brought him to the hospital, and I met you there.
Oh, that's right.
I got there just as the test had finished, I believe, and they said there was nothing wrong with the heart. But that is the problem, is that with the allopathic reductionist method, which is the modern world, the standard of care, they're great for an emergency. Don't get me wrong. You get shot, don't come to me in Destiny.
No, but at the same time, we're sitting there in the waiting room so dang long, and my poor guy is dying of pain. So
he's having
I gave him CBD oil, which you can use. Oh gosh, it's so much. Instantly, he felt better. And then when they came over to give him stuff, he didn't even want it, so I'm really proud of him for that. Good job. But anyway, so that's why, I want people to understand that we're not against doctors in any way. Like, doctors are, have saved my life many times from having seizures and etc. So we do not disrespect them. We are not trying to say we're better than them. Exactly. But not everybody can know every single thing about the body. That's why we love what we do, because I'm the anatomy queen. I really am. I literally have been looking and fascinated by the human body, I guess, since I was born. My father told me that back in the day, you guys remember when there was encyclopedias those days, that apparently I would go through the pages and pick out the anatomy structures and always stare at them or ask questions about them. I knew at a young age, I've just always been that way. So I've studied for years and years and years just to learn all this. So it's sort of like, okay, doctors, they have their specialty. That's great. I have mine. Joe has his. We work with them. We don't work against them.
But like you, I've been into it since I was like 3 years old. 3 years old, I start boxing, and then, you start getting coached and advice on do this and you'll get this effect. You'll be stronger. You'll be running longer. You'll be more muscular. You'll have a bigger, stronger six pack. So you start thinking, I've just been obsessed with maximizing the body's potential.
You see what Ben said? From your life, if you want more, make sure you sign up at Karen Ford. Was that okay, Ben? I'll practice that.
Yes. Cool.
Anyway, so yeah, a lot of today is some stuff that I just wanted to go over with people for your everyday life. It's all about quality of life, okay? And being a mom, it's huge for me. I want my kids to thrive. I want them to do even better in every way than I have. I mean, that's a normal way to want for your children, right?
Well,
so we've got to learn about this and get our kids. Why do you think that? This makes me angry because we all see it. Disease is growing. Okay, disease is growing so much. And the reason behind it is our foods. And you guys can challenge me that on all aspects, and I will come back at you with a whole lot of facts. Because we need to make sure our kids get minerals, fatty acids, etc. The whole package. They got to have it, or else their brain is not going to develop correctly. Or if you get pregnant, you're not going to develop your baby correctly. Or if you're having a problem getting pregnant, we also help with that, because it has a lot to do with what you eat.
Yeah. And obviously, kids today, more my youngest than your youngest, they're in that category where they potentially might not live out us. That's how crazy. 54% of all kids have a chronic disease or disorder. And by chronic, you might think, well, I know 10 kids and they're all fine. Asthma, eczema, breathing, bowel issues, behavior issues, skin issues. These are the 3 B's and the S: breathing, bowel, behavior, and skin. If you have even the slightest, you're only slightly being affected. If you have the full-blown asthma, and even asthma can be actually rectified within a matter of months. It's a magnesium, manganese, omega-3 fatty acids, and hydration can actually solve asthma. And that's what's so cool about what we do.
I'll tell you what I swear would never, just made me feel probably the best I've ever felt on the planet is, I think when we treat autism, because for me, being so close with my children, to see and be with these kids and, have a mom come up to you and hug you crying and saying, thank you. My son, my daughter is so much more cognitive. I can see him being happier. I can see her being, able to do. And we do have a test that we do with them pre-hand and then after.
And there's a government test called ATEC.
Right, ATEC, yeah. But imagine that feeling, it's incredible. And so that's what our big goal here is really to give you our, my anatomy knowledge and Joe's biological knowledge, to give you plans and give you a road to live the best life that you can for you, your family, and for everyone around you.
And like Desi said, we're helping people all the time. We've actually got at 2:00 today. We've got a mum who's got depression, anxiety, a number of other issues. Her son has autism. So we're doing a double meeting with them about 2:00 today. So we still got a little bit of time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here, I'm going to close out with this actually. So from your life, if you want more, make sure to sign up for Cure in 4. Right, Ben? Signing off. Bye, guys. Contact us at curein4.com or destinyowen.com if you need any help, okay? See ya! Good job, babe.
Yeah.